Hello and welcome. I am Ramesh Ramachandran and you're watching Newsnight, your prime-time destination for news and bespoke analysis. It's good to have you again with us. On the show tonight, the Congress party is in even deeper trouble after it ejects Sachin Pilot from the Ashok Gehlot government in Rajasthan. Will Pilot ground the Gehlot government? What are his options? Will it cause a domino effect and push more such young leaders to part ways with the Gandhi dynasty? And is the grand old party in the throes of an existential crisis? Also on the show, we preview the India-EU summit, what's on its agenda. We get you the inside track. Plus, India and China conclude the fourth round of military talks and a Twitter spat involving a Gandhi dynast. All that and much more coming up over the next 60 minutes. But first, as always, the headlines. The Ashok Gehlot-led Congress government in Rajasthan continues to battle a political crisis after sacking Sachin Pilot and his loyalists. Chief Minister holds an emergency cabinet meeting. The BJP called for an immediate floor test in the assembly. A BJP delegation from West Bengal calls on President Ramnath Kovind and Home Minister Amit Shah over the mysterious death of party MLA Debendranath Ray, calls it a political murder, demands a CBI inquiry into the incident. India and China conclude the fourth round of military talks in Ladakh to de-escalate tensions along the LAC. The talks focus on complete disengagement from Finger 4 of Pangong Tso and Depsang Plains. National Investigation Agency seeks Interpol help to nab Faisal Farid, the main accused in the Kerala gold smuggling case. Customs Department summons a former aide to Kerala Chief Minister for questioning. The number of people recovering from COVID-19 in India is nearly twice the number of people getting infected. Health Ministry says India is a major player in vaccine development, asks states to ramp up testing. Bihar announces a complete lockdown from 15th to 31st July in a bid to arrest a rapid rise in COVID-19 cases. Uttar Pradesh announces a complete lockdown on weekends. Bengaluru too goes under complete lockdown from till 22nd of July. And the UK snaps China, bans Huawei's 5G service, asks companies to stop all purchases before 31st December. Meanwhile, US Foreign Minister Mike Pompeo dismisses China's maritime claims in the South China Sea, calls them illegal. All right, let's get started. First up, a deep dive into the political crisis brewing in Rajasthan. The Congress party sacked Sachin Pilot from the Rajasthan government and also removed him from the post of party chief in the state. It's led to a full-blown crisis in the grand old party. It's now a pitched battle between young Turks and the old guard. Clearly, the impact of this feud will be felt beyond Rajasthan. It's not a local issue anymore. It points to a deep-rooted systemic problem, and it has far-reaching implications for the Congress party in general and the Gandhi dynasty in particular. Barely a day after the Congress said its doors were open to Sachin Pilot, the party sacked him and his loyalists from the Rajasthan government. Pilot was removed from the twin posts of Deputy Chief Minister and Rajasthan Congress Unit Chief. Also sacked were two Pilot loyalists who were ministers in the Ashok Gehlot cabinet.
श्री सचिन पायलट जी को, श्री विश्वेंद्र सिंह जी को और श्री रमेश मीना जी को मंत्री पद के भार से फौरी तौर से मुक्त किया जाता है.
A Gehlot loyalist and education minister, Govind Singh Dotsara, has since been named the new party chief in Rajasthan. The party sacked Rajasthan Youth Congress president and Pilot loyalist Mukesh Bhakar and replaced him with Ganesh Gogra. Hem Singh Shekhawat was named as the new Rajasthan Congress Seva Dal chief in place of another pilot loyalist and MLA Rakesh Parikh. Chief Minister Ashok Gehlot called on Governor Kalraj Mishra and apprised him of the developments. This after Congress legislators met for the second time in as many days and reiterated their support to Gehlot.
122 लोग हमारे पास में हैं, 107 कांग्रेस के हैं। आप समझ रहे 2-3 कितने होते हैं? तो इन्होंने क्यों ये खेल खेला?
For its part, the BJP chided the Congress party for not keeping its house in order. It dared the Gehlot government to seek a trust vote in the assembly.
ये सरकार जनता का विश्वास खो चुकी है, इसके पास बहुमत नहीं है। प्रमाणित करना चाहे तो हाउस ही प्रमाणित कर सकता है और कोई प्रमाणित करने वाली संस्था है नहीं।
ये सरकार जनता के मन से भी उतर गई और जितनी जल्दी विदा हो जाए मुझे लगता है उसी में राजस्थान की जनता का भला होगा। इतने सियासी षड्यंत्रों के बाद बिना किसी परफॉर्मेंस के मुझे लगता है कि सरकार की अब विदाई का समय आ गया।
हम लोग केवल अपना ध्यान आकर्षण हाईकमान का ध्यान आकर्षित करना चाहते थे कि जो हमारे मैनिफेस्टो में चीजें हैं, बिजली हो, पानी हो, आपका कर्जा माफी हो, जिसके लिए जनता ने हमको चुनकर भेजा था, उसको हम 1.25 साल हुआ है हम डिलीवर नहीं कर पा रहे। और आज भी मैं ये सवाल जनता के सामने रखना चाहता हूं कि हम 3 लोगों की या हमारे साथियों की क्या ऐसी गलती है जिससे कि कांग्रेस पार्टी ने हमको अपने बर्खास्त किया है मंत्रिमंडल से।
Meanwhile, some opposition parties accused the Gehlot government of horse trading. They alleged that the Congress government was trying to win over independent MLAs.
एक वीडियो आया, जानकारी मिली है कि बीटीपी जो आदिवासियों की पार्टी है, 2 विधायक उनके जीत गए हैं, उनको बंधक बना के होटल के अंदर रखा गया। जो अपने इलाके में जाने लगे तो एक मंत्री, एक विधायक और कई पुलिस की गाड़ियां उनको पकड़ने के लिए चले गई। ये नंगा नाच राजस्थान के अंदर, और इसके लिए गहलोत जिम्मेदार है।
Sachin Pilot kept his own counsel except for a tweet he put out in the afternoon. It read, "The truth can be rattled, not defeated." Clearly, political crisis continues to brew in Rajasthan. Bureau Report, DD India. All right, let me recap the Rajasthan political developments just for you. Now, this is what you need to know about all that's happened in the day in Rajasthan. Let's begin with the big news we are tracking on this special broadcast. Sachin Pilot has been sacked as the Deputy Chief Minister of Rajasthan. He has also been removed as the Rajasthan Congress Party Chief. Now, Pilot loyalists Vishwendra Singh and Ramesh Meena have also been sacked. Who are these people? Singh was the tourism minister in the government and Meena was the food and civil supplies minister. Now let me give you a blow-by-blow account of all that's happened in the day. Now, before the CLP meeting, Pilot loyalists Singh and Meena issued a joint statement. They say, and I quote them here, "We are taking a stand to protect our dignity and self-respect. Public humiliation of a leader, Mr. Pilot, is something that's totally unacceptable to us. We are seeking to restore our self-respect and are not clamoring for any post." That's the joint statement by the 2 Pilot loyalists. Let's move to the next slide we have prepared for you, and that's to do with the Congress upping the ante. The Congress MLAs hold a meeting in the day. Ashok Gehlot calls on Governor Kalraj Mishra in Raj Bhavan. Randeep Surjewala simultaneously talks to the media in Jaipur. He says Pilot has been sacked from 2 posts and Vishwendra Singh and Ramesh Meena have also been sacked from the Rajasthan government. Next up is the new Rajasthan Congress chief, that is the Education Minister Govind Singh Dotsara is the new Rajasthan party chief. And finally, what is Sachin Pilot doing in all of this? He tweeted and he says he's changed his status to MLA from Tong and former minister, and he says that Satya ko pareshan kiya ja sakta hai, parajit nahi, which means truth can be rattled but not defeated. All right, time for a very short break. When we come back, we'll have our guests over for our In Focus segment. Don't go anywhere. Keep watching Newsnight.
Novel coronavirus comes from the family of coronaviruses. SARS and MERS were also coronaviruses. How do SARS and MERS compare with COVID-19? Are we learning from past pandemics or making the same mistakes over and over again? For an in-depth perspective on history of pandemics, watch BioQuest History of Pandemics Part 3 on DD News and DD India.
हमारी आज की तेजस्विनी है विज्ञान दिवस पर राष्ट्रीय पुरस्कार से सम्मानित एम्स में रूमेटोलॉजी विभाग की फाउंडर विभागाध्यक्ष डॉक्टर उमा कुमार।
जो प्रयास आपने किया नया विभाग बनाने का, इस प्रयास में आपको किन मुश्किलों का सामना करना पड़ा?
जब आप कोई भी न्यू आइडिया या कोई भी नई चीज करना चाहते हैं, एक्सेप्टेंस नहीं होती और एक लेडी के लिए तो थोड़ी ज्यादा प्रॉब्लम होती है।
आपके परिवार का क्या रुख था कि आपको करियर कॉन्शियस होना चाहिए?
I had to prove myself at each and every step. Look, I can do it.
जो हमारे देश की बेटियां बड़े सपने देख रही हैं, हासिल करना चाहती हैं, उन्हें आप क्या कहेंगे?
सोच और शिक्षा दो चीजें अगर हैं तो जरूर कामयाबी मिलती है।
Welcome back. You're watching Newsnight on DD News and DD India. Time now for our In Focus segment in which we're discussing about pilotless Congress, clueless old guard. Now joining me are three very special guests. Prafulla Ketkar, editor of the Organizer Weekly. Veteran journalist R. Rajagopalan. And joining us from Jaipur, where all the action is senior journalist Sangeeta Pranavendra. Mr. Rajagopalan, if I can come to you first, your thoughts on the mood in Jaipur tonight as we speak. What's going to happen tomorrow or the day after?
The mood in Jaipur is anti-Ashok Gehlot. The mood in Jaipur is for Sachin Pilot. The reason being, Sachin Pilot was the person for 5 years.
Right.
He has been traveling throughout the length and breadth of Rajasthan to bring back the power from BJP to Congress. It is Mr. Sachin Pilot who brought the Congress from 221 in Vasundhara Raje regime to 107 in Ashok Gehlot regime.
Right.
The Congress was sidelining Mr. Sachin Pilot. Congress has ill-treated him. In the words of Mr. Ashok Gehlot, Sachin Pilot was creating a conspiratorial theories for the last 6 months. That means Mr. Ashok Gehlot was smelling something bad with Mr. Sachin Pilot's intentions. How did he have that type of 6 months confidence in Mr. Sachin Pilot? Second thing, Mr. Ramesh, I want to say that Mr. Ashok Gehlot lost the majority because the Congress has come to a minority government. That is why the BJP in Rajasthan, all the opposition leaders are creating this type of discomforts, which is obviously an opposition party rule. Second thing, Mr. Sachin Pilot is not new to the Congress. He was union minister under Manmohan Singh's government, and also he was the PCC chief of Rajasthan for 5 years. It is Mr. Sachin Pilot who fought the BJP government and reduced BJP to 75. And he has been totally sidelined by the three Gandhis, Sonia Gandhi, Rahul Gandhi and Priyanka Gandhi, because Mr. Sachin Pilot was not at all keen in creating this type of atmosphere for Mr. Ashok Gehlot. He has been having no confidence in the Deputy Chief Minister.
So, Mr. Rajagopalan, has Ashok Gehlot completely lost the plot here? And where does Sachin Pilot go from here? What are his options? Explain, help our viewers understand the significance of the developments in Rajasthan.
Mr. Ashok Gehlot lost the majority. The aligning parties have also walked out. He is having a hope tomorrow morning at 10 o'clock when they are going to have a cabinet meeting and also MLAs meeting.
Okay.
But after he met the governor, now the ball is in governor's court. What Mr. Governor Kalraj Mishra is going to decide, we have to wait and watch. And you asked about Sachin Pilot. My understanding is Sachin Pilot has got a groundswell. Now he has got the maximum support of 32 MLAs according to Mr. Sachin Pilot.
Right.
And can you believe, Mr. Ramesh, Sachin Pilot having been a very, young person, young face of Rajasthan, with this sacking of Sachin Pilot from the Congress, I see that Congress' future in Rajasthan is doomed, as it was in the case of Andhra Pradesh. After Jagan Reddy was removed, Congress is nowhere in Andhra Pradesh.
Right.
After G.K. Vasan was removed, Congress is nowhere in Tamil Nadu. After Himanta Biswa Sarma was removed, the Congress is nowhere in Assam. Therefore, Congress has become a state party. Congress has become a party because Pilot type of national leaders are being sacked for no rhyme or reason.
Absolutely. Let me take a moment to welcome our other two guests on Newsnight tonight. Let me welcome senior journalist Sangeeta Pranavain joining us from Jaipur, where all the action is as we speak, and Prafulla Ketkar, editor of the Organizer Weekly. Mr. Ketkar, if I can come to you now, Mr. Rajagopalan says the Gehlot government has been reduced to a minority, so the numbers do not bode well for the Ashok Gehlot government in Rajasthan. Your thoughts on where things stand today as we speak and where it might be headed going forward?
Generally, if you see the Congress tradition, Congress generally waits for a person to take a call.
Right.
And, if you see the history, it happens almost simultaneously that somebody says that I have quit the Congress, and then Congress says we have removed the person. That has been the history.
Right.
But this hasn't happened in case of Sachin Pilot. In fact, his posters were removed yesterday itself. Today, he was formally sacked as a deputy chief minister and the state president. His confidant ministers are also removed by Mr. Gehlot. And, if my understanding is correct, then, at least 19 MLAs who were in support of Sachin Pilot, they are also facing the same kind of, action.
Right.
But besides that, there are at least 12 to 13 MLAs, it is believed, that who can come with Mr. Sachin Pilot. But why I'm making this clear, it clearly shows that this is not just a rift between Mr. Sachin Pilot and Mr. Gehlot.
Absolutely.
Of course, this was going on for a long time, but this is a classic fight, old fight between the Sonia Gandhi confidant at one point and Rahul Gandhi groomed leadership on the other hand. The old guards and the new guards are still fighting, and Congress confusion continues.
You make a very, very valid point there, Mr. Ketkar. If I can go to Sangeeta Pranavain joining us from Jaipur, help our viewers understand the mood in the two camps, the Gehlot camp and the Sachin Pilot camp as we speak. How do the numbers stack up, and how is the party coping with this existential crisis all over again?
See, the mood in both the camps is one of apprehension, the one where they are counting on their fingers or probably on their calculators and marking and ticking names on lists. Who's with them, who's not with them? Because yesterday the video that was put out by Sachin Pilot just had around 17 MLAs into it, whereas the photo opportunity given by Gehlot showed more than 100 people. Now, what the claims from the Sachin camp are that the people who are actually with us are sitting in the lockdown and at the resort that has been organized by Ashok Gehlot. So basically, it's a very muddled situation. And the Congress says we have 109 people. The assembly has got 200 seats.
Right.
At present, you need a majority of 101. And the recently held Rajya Sabha elections show that Congress had managed to get 123 votes. Now, 123 votes is quite a lot because the maximum BJP goes with itself and its ally, the Hanuman Beniwal RLD party, is just 75. 72 of BJP and 3 from RLD, and that's 75. They don't go beyond that. Whereas there are 3 3 independents out of 13 who have been suspended from Congress. They
Right.
could go to the BJP, but they are sticking with Sachin. So 10 independents are there. So it's basically at present a situation where there is need for clarity where the numbers go. And it's just simple basic maths that needs to be done once the camps are clearly open, that who is with whom, because a few of the people who were supposedly Sachin Pilot confidants and close aides are right now in the Gehlot camp. There is Chetan Dudi,
Right.
there is Prashant Berwa, there is Danish Abrar, then there is Zaida, who was supposedly with Pilot, but she moved in today morning. So these are the 4 people. I would like to mention Divya Madena, because she has an axe to grind with Ashok Gehlot regarding her father being jailed in the Bhavri Devi case,
Right.
where she feels that Ashok Gehlot did not do as much as he could have done. The relationships between the two have not been. So these are just 5 names which could swing if there was a vote. So how many people are there inside that camp who could go Sachin Pilot way
All
is
right.
what is needed. And also for the BJP needs to think what Sachin Pilot brings on his plate.
Indeed.
Because BJP itself
Indeed.
has got a problem of plenty. There are over half a dozen people who want to be chief minister. Now, Sachin Pilot is already the deputy chief minister. He had a second portfolio of the state president. So would he be willing to come back without the state presidentship and only for a deputy chief minister? Would he be willing to go to Delhi as a union
Right.
minister? So if he has to go, he needs a Rajya Sabha seat. Where is he going from? You know, there's so many questions and we need to be a little patient. And the first thing that needs to be seen is where the numbers go.
Absolutely. So we'll discuss about the numbers in just a bit. But Mr. Rajagopalan, Mr. Ketkar pointing out a very interesting point there. He says this is a fight between and among the Gandhi family itself, and also between the young Turks and the old guard. Now, how do you approach this crisis within the Congress party? Is it actually time for the Congress to reassess its priorities in trying to protect the dynasty as opposed to saving the party?
Praful Ketkar is actually on the dot. He said the right thing, and the division in the Congress is threefold. Praful Ketkar said 2. I take it 3 because there are MLAs in Rajasthan, because Priyanka Gandhi's husband, Mr. Robert Vadra, who is also connected with this type of MLA house trading, horse trading, and there is an angle of third Gandhi. Therefore, Gandhi family do not have a confidence in Sachin Pilot, because Sachin Pilot does not give an amount of funds for the AICC as a treasurer to Mr. Ahmed Patel. Therefore, there is no confidence on Sachin Pilot also by the central leadership. This also involves money matters, because Mr. Sachin Pilot has been maintaining silence. Tomorrow morning at 10 o'clock, he is holding a press conference. He is going to open up very brightly. You wait and watch. Things are bad. Ashok Gehlot government has come to a minority. Now, right time, Mr. Ashok Gehlot goes and the popular government is installed. Now, Mr. Governor Kalraj Mishra should not accept the recommendation of Mr. Ashok Gehlot to expand the cabinet, because the cabinet itself is a question mark. Whether they have confidence or not, first the assembly to be convened, floor test to be done, then only the cabinet expansion.
Indeed.
Mr. Ashok Gehlot cannot allure the MLAs with a portfolio dangling. Therefore, the government of Mr. Ashok Gehlot of Rajasthan has lost the public mandate, voters' mandate. Now it is time for Sachin Pilot, because he revolted against the chief minister. Therefore, he is a revolt leader. In the way of Sachin Pilot, I see that young face creating discomfort for the central leadership of the 3 Gandhis. He is an organizational man.
Right.
Unlike Mr. Ashok Gehlot, who is 70, Sachin Pilot is only in the 40s. Therefore, he has long innings. There should be a trial for Mr. Sachin Pilot's ability as
Sure.
chief minister. Whether the BJP combination, as Madam said, BJP has also got a problem. I don't think so. BJP is in a very safe position. They are not opening up their mouth. They are not going to open their cards. Things are going to be dividing in the Congress. There are 10 MLAs, I tell you, Ramesh, in the Ashok Gehlot camp, those who are loyal to Mr. Sachin Pilot. Therefore, Sachin Pilot number goes to 40. My understanding is between 35 and 40, Sachin Pilot will settle down.
All right. We'll get to the numbers in just a bit, but Mr. Praful Ketkar, now let me ask you to take a step back and reflect on the developments in Rajasthan. This is not just a local issue. This is not a Rajasthan-specific issue. This has national implications for the Congress party, which is in the opposition. It reflects poorly on the leadership or the lack of it in the party. And the buck should stop with the first family, the Gandhi dynasty in the Congress party. Clearly, they have a lot to answer for, isn't it?
Absolutely. You know, and especially after, Mr. Jyotiraditya Scindia coming out of Congress, because after
Jyotiraditya Scindia, then we had Ashok Tanwar in Haryana, we had Priyanka Chaturvedi joining Shiva Sena. So there are lots of young Congress leaders who are actually questioning the first family.
All this after 2019,
right?
And the way Kapil Sibal raised a question through a tweet, the way various spokespersons are taking a stand about saving the party, that clearly shows that everything is not well within the Congress.
Indeed.
But see, Ramesh, the point here is, Congress has this old dilemma, an old dilemma of, one of whether dynasty or organization, and this has been, when Mrs. Gandhi, senior Gandhi, Indira Gandhi was there, she had the ability to, go it hard and, save the dynasty above organization, and still build the, a new organization. Unfortunately, that kind of caliber is nowhere there in the, present day Gandhi and Vadras. Secondly, the real problem is ideological. There is a lot of confusion about, what kind of stand one should take on various issues. But of course, the leadership crisis is very much seen after consecutive loss in elections. How and what kind of, and if you really want to get a pulse, if you can follow certain news coming from Maharashtra, you will get the what kind of reactions that are coming from within the Congress. That clearly alliance with Shiv Sena and all that thing, how far that has created ripples within the Congress. So Congress has, and this is not just about Congress, whether Rajasthan or national level. Of course, as a party, Congress has to think about this. But even as a nation, when we are looking for, because whether we like it or not, at present, at least, Congress is the opposition party, and at national level, we need a credible opposition as a democracy. But Congress simply seems to be reluctant to take that responsibility, and responsible opposition has to have credible leadership, credible ideological position, and credible organizational structure. Congress is, dwindling on all the three.
Fair point. Sangeeta Pranavendra, has Ashok Gehlot overplayed his hand? Has it boomeranged on him in a big time, in a bad fashion, so to speak? And all eyes now on Sachin Pilot tomorrow in his press conference. Help our viewers understand the dynamic that's being played out in Rajasthan as we speak.
See, Ashok Gehlot is a man who has risen from the ranks right from when he was with NSUI as a student leader to reach to the position of a chief minister, and he's a third-time chief minister. Here we have a man who has got 43 years of political experience with the Congress. And on the other hand, he's pitted against a young man who's 43 years in age. So it's rather an unfair battle. This man has seen Congress change over the years, the decades. He has seen leadership from Indira Gandhi to Rajiv Gandhi to Sonia Gandhi to Rahul Gandhi. So for him, it has been a change that he has seen. But he has stuck to the ideology. Here we have Sachin Pilot, who's among the young Turks who are believed to be the future of Congress.
Right.
But at the same time, what needs to see is, if the Congress leadership had wanted Sachin Pilot, they would have selected him in 2018 when the government was formed. There was a long drawn-out battle, and Sachin Pilot lost out there. Now, what needs to be understood is, why did the Congress choose Gehlot over Pilot. They chose Gehlot. There must have been some reason. Was it a caste factor? Was it a factor that Sachin Pilot was rather new to the state? Was it a factor that he belonged to a community that was, not widely acceptable as a choice for a chief minister? There are so many things that are at play here. And Ashok Gehlot has been very vehement and very vocal about the fact that there is a conspiracy against the government. Yes, he has been hammering it in. Yes, he has been attacking Sachin Pilot. It has been over a span of last several weeks and months where he has not named Pilot. He has named the BJP, but he has always hinted at Pilot. He has damaged the credibility of Sachin Pilot to an extent where he is now being associated with BJP. He has managed to convert a situation that is more of an infighting between the Congress factions to a situation where BJP is interfering and Congress, and rather Mr. Pilot is trying to save the fort. So that has been a very crafty and a very smart move. You could call it crafty, you could call it smart, but it has been a very smart, shrewd political move on his part.
Indeed.
So, yeah.
Sure. Mr. Rajagopalan, Mr. Prafullo Khedkar seems to suggest that the Congress today has a leadership problem and it has an ideology problem. At the same time, people are wondering what happens to Rahul Gandhi. I mean, where is he? What is he up to? Why isn't he speaking up? So, complete abdication on the part of the first family.
The Congress first family himself, their selves, their mother, son, daughter. My understanding, because in this panel, Ramesh, I am the one person who has covered Congress from 1977 onwards, from Madam Indira Gandhi days onwards. I have known the Congress, but there is no ideological problem of Sachin Pilot.
Okay.
Because Sachin Pilot is explaining every day and out that the manifesto has not been implemented. Madam Swapna was very much, in her rights to say that. But she has seen the things from Jaipur, but I am seeing things from Jaipur and also from Delhi. My understanding is there is no ideological problem. Everything comes to the monetary problem. Congress wants a particular chanda type of subscription for the AICC. If you don't pay, you don't heed. And Madam Sangeeta was telling just now about the ideological problem of Mr. Ashok Gehlot. There is no ideology. He has been a NSUI member, everything. But why can't you give a change relationship in 2018 for Mr. Sachin Pilot, who brought the Congress to 71, or from 21 to 107? Therefore, Congress played a politics. Congress is keen that every chief minister of the ruled state should give subscription to the AICC treasurer, Mr. Ahmed Patel, which Sachin Pilot could not do, and Mr. Ashok Gehlot is doing. That is why Ashok Gehlot has been asked to continue. That is very frankly speaking. There is no ideology here. Yesterday, many news channels, many newspapers today also reported that the son and daughter-in-law and also a chartered accountant of Rajasthan having a big scam in a hotel investment, and how 100 acres of land was given to his own son by Mr. Ashok Gehlot. It's not a corruption, because money matters everywhere. During this, Robert Vadra thing also, he has got Jaipur problems. He could not do that. That is why family-ridden politics. Madam Sonia Gandhi is keen so that her son-in-law, Mr. Robert Vadra, can be saved from crisis. That is why Ashok Gehlot is continuing. You wait and watch. Ashok Gehlot government dates are numbered, and he goes by this weekend, and sure, there will be a popular rule in Rajasthan. That is what I see from Delhi after having interacted with at least some 20 to 25 MLAs of Rajasthan, many of them very well known to me, because most of them have been members of parliament. They have been having a Delhi roots. I got in touch with them. My feedback is that Ashok Gehlot government goes by this weekend.
All right, fair point. Mr. Prafullo Khedkar, your last comments on your take on the developments in Rajasthan, its implications at the national level, and help our viewers understand the problem that's facing the grand old party in India today. Where does that party go from here, and what might be in it for the BJP going forward as well, in Rajasthan specifically?
See, what will be the immediate implications? I don't know, because frankly speaking, if you go by numbers, as Dr. Sangeeta ji was saying, the number game is not very easy for BJP. BJP has at least, BJP needs at least 25 to 30 people, sure shot, one. Secondly, even after, they are out of Congress, it will just reduce the strength of the house, but it will not practically change the number game much, in favor of BJP. Thirdly, like Mr. Jyotiraditya Scindia, will a person like Pilot, because Rajesh Pilot himself is, was known to be a very tough person to crack, and I'm sure Sachin Pilot is also like that. So will he just switch over to BJP without getting any assurance for chief ministership? Or these all things are, needs to be wait and watch. But it will definitely give a new foothold for BJP, because Rajasthan has been a tricky state. Every 5 years we have seen the change of guards, governments in Rajasthan. Here, after a long time, BJP is getting a chance to make a comeback within 2 years' time. So BJP, this is a new BJP. This is a very aggressive BJP. They will definitely try to, find some opportunity out of this. But more importantly, what kind of message that is given nationally? The message is, one, young leadership does not have space within Congress. Two, Congress as an opposition has, no credibility to give genuine fight to the ruling BJP, either nationally or at the state level. And third, it will again raise a question about the leadership within Congress, and I think it will open up new cracks. And as I hinted, it can lead to a new, state that is Maharashtra. So because there are, dissenting voices already against the Uddhav Thackeray government and the way Congress is dealing with it. So this will, these are three clear-cut messages that has given with the ouster of Mr. Sachin Pilot.
Right. I'll give Sangeeta Pranavendra the last word on this discussion. Very quickly, Sangeeta Pranavendra, you are the person on the ground in Jaipur tonight. Look into the crystal ball, so to speak, and help our viewers understand and make sense of what might happen tomorrow in Rajasthan. Very quickly.
See, I'm a journalist. I'm not a fortune teller, so I can't predict what will happen at the weekend. But the way things are going right now, each of the camps is just trying to consolidate its numbers. A cabinet meeting and a meeting of Council of Ministers was held a short while back at the CM's residence. Now he has met the governor. And there is a talk and there is a presumption that there could be a cabinet expansion on the 16th. So every camp is working out its numbers. Every camp is working out its logistics. Right. And basically, see, here one thing I would like to add is the largest thing that, the claim to success is being considered that Sachin Pilot brought the party to power. Rajasthan is a state where it changes power every 5 years. You may have a dynamic leader. You may not have a dynamic leader. You may have a state president who goes on for 10 years. You may have one who's been there for just 6 months. But Rajasthan is sure to change its government, the party who is in power, every 5 years. So, and in fact, this was the election in 2018 where everybody felt that there was a Modi wave, and everybody was absolutely certain that BJP would be in a fighting position, if not absolute majority. They would be very close to the majority, where they would break a few independents and form a government. Right. But Rajasthan lived up to its traditions. It's a land of heritage. It's a land of tradition. And also, I would say one thing. It is a different place. The politics are different from Madhya Pradesh. The politics are different from Maharashtra. I wouldn't put anything in Rajasthan in clear-cut compartments or black and white, because people here go by a lot of factors that probably they don't go in other states. And it would be very, very immature to predict what would happen tomorrow. But the only thing I can say is there is something called a jareeb, which is a foot long ruler, something that is used to measure land. So I would say that every party leader has a jareeb in his hand, and he's measuring his support system, and he's measuring what to do. In fact, the BJP leaders are equally worried. What happens if we come to power? Who will be the CM? Who is going to gain? Everybody is worried. Everybody is tensed. Everybody is counting numbers. That's the scenario in Rajasthan.
All right, so wait and watch is what you say. On that note, I want to thank all three of my guests, Sangeeta Pranavendra, R. Rajagopalan, and Prafulla Ketkar, for joining us on Newsnight. Appreciate it. Thank you. Right, moving on. Mystery surrounding the death of a sitting BJP MLA in West Bengal has snowballed into a major political controversy. The BJP has accused the ruling Trinamool Congress government of foul play. More than 100 BJP leaders have died in mysterious circumstances in the last 3 years in the state.
The suspicious suicide of BJP MLA Debendranath Roy is heating up in West Bengal. A 5-member BJP delegation headed by Kailash Vijayvargiya called on President Ramnath Kovind in New Delhi on Tuesday and sought his intervention in restoring democracy in Bengal, while demanding a CBI probe into the mysterious death of party MLA. The delegation also appealed to the president to dismiss Mamta government and seek a report from the governor over the death.
ये पूरी तरीके से ममता जी की साजिश है, टीएमसी सरकार की साजिश है कि विपक्ष को कुचलना हिंसा के माध्यम से, और जैसे जैसे चुनाव नजदीक आते जा रहा है हिंसा बढ़ती जा रही है। लॉ एंड ऑर्डर बिल्कुल कोलैप्स हो गया है। पुलिस का राजनीतिकरण हो वह तो ठीक है, पर पुलिस का अपराधीकरण होने लग गया। पुलिस खुद साथ में गुंडों के साथ खड़े होकर हत्या करा रही है और उनको संरक्षण प्रदान कर रही है। तो ऐसी सरकार को बने रहने का कोई अधिकार नहीं है। हमने यही बात सुबह महामहिम राष्ट्रपति जी से भी कही थी, अभी हम गृह मंत्री से मिलकर आ रहे हैं और हमने कहा कि इस प्रकरण की तो सीबीआई जांच कराएं।
The post-mortem report of Roy has also raised several questions over the suicide. Administration says that death happened due to the effects of hanging, while BJP has accused Mamta government of running vendetta politics in the state. BJP alleged that its 105 leaders have died in mysterious circumstances in the last 3 years in West Bengal. A delegation of BJP leader also met Union Home Minister Amit Shah in New Delhi and demanded CBI probe in the case.
ये जो मैन्युफैक्चर्ड पोस्टमार्टम्स है, जो प्रीमेडिटेटेड है कि इसमें क्या करना है, क्या बोलना है, क्या लिखना है, ये सारी चीज़ें जो दबाव देके करवाया जाता है, ये पोस्टमार्टम में एक शब्द का इस्तेमाल किया है, एंटीमॉर्टम। एंटीमॉर्टम शब्द का मतलब है कि जीवित अवस्था में उस आदमी जो है या तो खुद को लटकाया या किसी ने लटकाया। दूसरा, एक जब आप लटकाते हैं तो उसमें एक रस्सी का एक निशान आती है, उसमें अगर नॉन लीनियर ऐसा कुछ कहते हैं कंटिन्यूअस निशानी अगर ना हो तो उसमें भी कुछ सुसाइड का तथ्य जो है वो एस्टैब्लिश होती है।
BJP President JP Nadda had expressed his shock over the incident on Monday and termed it as a heinous killing. BJP workers in Cooch Behar also reportedly attacked on Tuesday. Party MP Soumitra Khan in a tweet held TMC workers responsible for the attack. BJP has time and again raised questions over the vendetta politics in West Bengal, and this time again after the alleged murder of its MLA has raised serious doubt over the functioning of the West Bengal government. With inputs from Shailendra Mishra, Newsnight Desk, DD India.
The fourth round of military talks between India and China concluded at the Chushul-Moldo border post in eastern Ladakh. It followed the last such meeting held on 30th June and the talks between National Security Advisor Ajit Doval and Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Yi on 5th of July. Now, Tuesday's talks were seen as an attempt to start phase 2 of disengagement along the line of actual control. The General Officer commanding of the Fire and Fury Corps, Lieutenant General Harinder Singh, welcomed his Chinese counterpart, South Xinjiang Military Province Commander Major General Liu Lin. Their talks mainly focused on the implementation of agreement reached in the previous meetings. But the thrust was on complete disengagement at Finger 4 and further at Pangong So and Depsang Plains. General Singh will brief the senior army officials about the outcome of those talks. All right, joining me is my colleague Amrit Pal Singh on the phone line from New Delhi. Amrit, help our viewers understand the big takeaways or the outcome from those military talks that concluded in eastern Ladakh today.
Ramesh, these talks started at about 11:30 this morning and continued late in the evening. There were a long round of talks. This is the fourth round of talks between the two senior military commanders, the 14 Corps commander of the Indian Army and General Liu Lin of the South Xinjiang military province of Tibet. Essentially, the focus of today's talks was complete disengagement, phase 2 of disengagement, which has to take place at Pangong So and the Depsang area. As you know, that the Chinese army has camped up, the PLA has camped at Finger 4, and India claims patrolling rights till Finger 8, where the LAC lies. Now, these talks were essentially to disengage and for the PLA to move back and withdraw from there. These talks happened in a cordial atmosphere, and also they spoke about the disengagement and complete disengagement in the Depsang area. The exact details of the talks the army hasn't put out, but what we know from sources is that it was agreed that the Chinese move back from Finger 4 and restore status quo ante. The Indian Army will verify that in a step-by-step manner, and once it's verified, only then will there be any movement back by the Indian Army. But the Chinese have been told that status quo ante as existed in April has to be restored, and the Chinese have to move back both at Pangong So and the Depsang area. As you know, the first phase of disengagement in Hot Springs and PP14 had taken place. It is expected that on those lines there is a peaceful disengagement process which restores peace and calm and tranquility on the LAC. Ramesh?
Right. Amrit, thank you for bringing our viewers up to speed with the big takeaways from the India-China military talks that concluded in eastern Ladakh. Appreciate it. Right, moving on, Prime Minister Modi will hold a virtual summit with EU leaders on 15th July. A range of bilateral, regional and global issues of interest to India and the EU will figure in those talks, including trade and investment. Also on the agenda is the fight against COVID-19 and research and development on a vaccine for it. More in this next report.
The 15th summit between India and the European Union will be held on 15 July via video conference. Prime Minister Narendra Modi will be holding talks with the President of the European Council, Charles Michel, and the President of the European Commission, Ursula von der Leyen. The EU High Representative for Foreign Affairs and Security Policy, Joseph Borrell, will also participate in the talks. The summit will be an opportunity to strengthen the EU-India strategic and trade partnership. The European Union is India's largest trading partner, whilst India is the EU's 9th largest partner. The latest data on trade in bilateral goods and services registers nearly $150 billion. Both sides are also willing to re-engage for negotiations for a comprehensive and mutually beneficial free trade agreement. The EU is the second largest destination for Indian exports after USA. The EU's share in foreign investment inflows to India more than doubled from 8% to 18% in the last decade, making the EU the first foreign investor in India. EU foreign direct investment stocks in India is significant. Some 6,000 European companies are present in India, providing directly 1.7 million jobs and indirectly 5 million jobs in a broad range of sectors. Indian companies invested over 50 billion euros in Europe since 2000. The summit is happening at a time when the world is fighting the COVID-19 pandemic. The summit will be an opportunity to discuss and identify synergies in healthcare, the production of pharmaceuticals and vaccines, research and development, diagnostics and treatment. The leaders are expected to call for the future COVID-19 vaccine to become a global common good. The EU-India summit will also delve upon global and regional issues. The leaders are expected to reaffirm their determination to promote effective multilateralism and the rules-based multilateral order with the United Nations and the World Trade Organization at its core. At the summit, the discussion is also expected on a number of pressing situations in the EU's and India's immediate neighborhoods. Sources said that the ongoing tension along the line of actual control with China cross-border terrorism emanating from Pakistan and prospects for peace in Afghanistan may also come up for discussion during the summit. The leaders will also discuss ways to harness human-centric digitalization to develop inclusive economies and societies, including as regards data protection, 5G and artificial intelligence. Towards the conclusion, a futuristic document, a roadmap to 2025, is expected to be adopted by both the sides. The document will guide cooperation between the EU and India over the next 5 years. With inputs from Abhishek Jha, Bureau Report, DD India.
Now, Road Transport and Highways Minister Nitin Gadkari unveiled an economic corridor project worth 20,000 crore rupees in Haryana. The project includes a 4-lane highway connecting Rona and Hasangarh to Jhajjar. He also laid the foundation stone of a 6-lane access-controlled greenfield expressway, a 4-lane Gurugram Pataudi Rewari road and a 4-lane Rewari bypass.
आने वाले 5 साल में 5 करोड़ नए जॉब्स क्रिएट करने का मैंने संकल्प किया है। अभी हमारे देश में एमएसएमई का कंट्रीब्यूशन 29%, 30% है। हमारे देश का 48% एक्सपोर्ट एमएसएमई से होता है और 11 करोड़ जॉब एमएसएमई में क्रिएट हुए हैं। और मैं चाहता हूं कि अभी हमारे यहाँ जो विलेज इंडस्ट्री करके है, इसका टर्नओवर हमारा पिछले मार्च एंड तक 88,000 करोड़ था।
The chairman of Vivekananda International Foundation, Swaminathan Gurumurthy, hailed the centre's move of Atmanirbhar Bharat. In a webinar titled Jigyasa, Gurumurthy said the very core of Indian economy is self-reliance. He also said that the previous governments did not have the valor to roll out a self-reliant economic model.
Atmanirbhar is a collective idea. Fortunately, a government which is responsible, which sees the relevance for Atmanirbhar. Atmanirbhar was always the foundation of India, but most governments did not look at it because we will be seen as introvert, we will be seen as autarkic, we will be seen as withdrawing, we will be seen as isolated, and so we should not even mention the word Swadeshi or Atmanirbhar, and that is gone today.
In other news, the entire city of Bengaluru has gone into a complete lockdown from 8 p.m. this evening in a bid to curtail the rising number of coronavirus cases in the Karnataka capital. On 12th July, the Karnataka government had announced a complete shutdown in Bengaluru urban and Bengaluru rural districts. Now, India's track record of dealing with the COVID-19 pandemic has drawn praise from several quarters. India's recovery rate and mortality rate are low as compared to some countries. Here's a comprehensive report.
India has less than half the cases per million population as compared to rest of the world. Death per million population in India is less than 1/4 compared to rest of the world. And the good news doesn't end there. There has been a marked decline in the daily growth rate of new cases. The end of March and beginning of April saw 38.29% cases being reported daily. In less than a month, this dropped to 9.17% in the beginning of May. By the end of May, this figure stood at 4.82%, and as of 12th of July, 3.24% fresh cases are being reported daily.
आज की तारीख में जो रिकवर्ड केसेस हैं वो 1.8 टाइम्स हैं एक्टिव केसेस के, यानी 1.8 गुना ज्यादा मात्रा में लोग रिकवर हुए हैं.
86% of the active cases are confined to 10 affected states. Maharashtra and Tamil Nadu are the two most affected states, accounting for almost 50% of the active cases. 36% cases are from Karnataka, Delhi, Andhra Pradesh, Uttar Pradesh, West Bengal, Gujarat and Assam. There has also been a progressive increase in the recoveries. Between May 2nd to May 30th, the number of active COVID-19 cases are more than recovered cases. After that, the differences between the number of active and recovered cases is rising. So there is a steady decline in fatalities, with the recovery rate graph steadily moving up. From 26.59% on 3rd of May, it is now stands at 63.02%. This positive trend has been possible because of enhanced infrastructure to test, trace and treat cases. According to the Health Ministry, 22 states are conducting more than 140 tests per day per million. Goa has conducted the maximum of 1,058 tests per day per million. On the vaccine development front, 2 rapid strides are being made. There are 2 Indian indigenous vaccine candidates who have successfully completed toxicity studies, rats, mice and rabbits. The results were submitted to Drug Controller General of India, which has given approval for phase 1 and 2 human trials.
They are doing the clinical study on approximately 1,000 human volunteers each at different sites. Some have got 12 sites, some have got 6 sites, so that's they are trying to do the early clinical testing for these 2 candidate indigenous vaccines. Over and above that, there are preclinical experiments for these as well as other vaccines being done, experiments being done at NIV Pune, which are trying to work day and night to do these experiments, because it is a moral duty to develop them as fast as possible, because more than 500,000 people have succumbed to this disease across the world. So fast-tracking this vaccine becomes very important.
Defining the way forward, the Health Ministry said that continued focus will be on containment, testing and clinical management. Active house-to-house case search in containment zones are being advocated, as is increased testing to aid early case detection. But of course, so far physical distancing is the only vaccine available to control the pandemic. 2 gaj ki duri and wearing of masks as well as frequent hand washing remain the most effective weapons. With inputs from Nitendra Singh, News Night Desk, DD India.
All right, time now for all the news related to the COVID-19 pandemic in India.
The HRD Ministry has issued guidelines to states and union territories regarding education of migrant workers' children who have returned home during the COVID-19 pandemic. The ministry has asked to ensure that their names are not struck off the school rolls. The states have also been asked to prepare a database of children who have left the local area for their homes in other states or other parts of the same state. Indian Railways has created post-COVID coach to ensure safety of passengers. The rail coach factory in Kapurthala has developed and designed the coaches. It has designed improvements like hands-free amenities, copper-coated handrails and latches, plasma air purification and titanium dioxide coating for COVID-free journey in the trains. Bihar government has announced complete lockdown in the state from July 16 to 31st. Deputy Chief Minister Sushil Kumar Modi has announced the decision after a spike in coronavirus cases in the state. Essential services, however, will be exempted during the lockdown. In Punjab, travellers coming to the state for less than 72 hours will now be exempted from the mandatory 14 days home quarantine. The decision has also been taken to provide concession to facilitate students wishing to come for examinations or business travellers whose stay in the state is less than 72 hours from the time of their arrival. However, they only need to submit a formal undertaking at the border checkpost. Delhi CM Arvind Kejriwal has inaugurated a plasma bank at the Lok Nayak Jayaprakash Narayan Hospital for the treatment of COVID-19 patients. It is the second such facility in the national capital. The Chief Minister said that plasma therapy is really helpful in saving lives in this disease. COVID-19 patients can donate their plasma after 14 days of their recovery by following proper medical instructions. A low-cost COVID-19 testing kit developed by Indian Institute of Technology in Delhi is ready to be launched on Wednesday. According to the Institute Director, IIT Delhi is the first academic institute to develop a COVID-19 testing method, while it gave non-exclusive open license to companies for commercializing the test, but with a price rider. Indo-Tibetan Border Police has conducted yoga classes for coronavirus patients at Sardar Patel COVID Care Centre and Hospital in Delhi. In this largest COVID care centre, inmates are being taught yoga to reduce stress and boost physical strength to fight against the virus. ITBP has also released helpline number for ITBP call centre at the facility. Those who can't maintain social distancing at home or any help related to admission at the COVID care centre can contact on the helpline number 011-266-55547. A resident of Bidar district in Karnataka, Dr. Allama Prabhu has taken up a unique task of distributing masks as prasad at temple premises every day. He says that the district is also witnessing huge surge in positive cases and it is the responsibility to ensure safety. He distributes about 1,000 masks as prasad every day in the temple premises.
Right, moving on, the Union HRD Ministry has announced guidelines for online classes in schools. The ministry has recommended a cap on the screen time for students. It says the online classes for pre-primary students should not be for more than 30 minutes. The guidelines mention that 2 online sessions of up to 45 minutes each should be conducted for classes 1 to 8 and 4 sessions for classes 9 to 12. The guidelines were released by HRD Minister Ramesh Pokhriyal Nishank on Tuesday. He said the guidelines provide a roadmap or pointers for carrying forward online education to enhance the quality of education. Now, the news, a special NIA court on Tuesday issued a non-bailable warrant against Faisal Farid, the third accused in the Kerala gold smuggling case. The agency has sought Interpol's assistance to nab him. Faisal Farid is in the UAE. The NIA court remanded 2 other accused, Swapna Suresh and Sandeep Nair, in judicial custody till 21st July. The probe into the gold smuggling case started after a diplomatic bag containing 30 kilograms of gold was seized at the Thiruvananthapuram International Airport on 5th July. The cargo was addressed to the Consulate General of the UAE in Kerala. Meanwhile, an IS officer, M. Shivashankar, was removed from the post of the Principal Secretary to the Kerala Chief Minister Pinarayi Vijayan, was summoned by the Customs Department for questioning in this case. And Prime Minister Modi will address a video address on the occasion of World Youth Skill Day on Wednesday. The day marks the 5th anniversary of the launch of Skill India Mission. A digital conclave is being organized by the Ministry of Skill Development and Entrepreneurship to mark the occasion. Right, time for our fact check segment. It was claimed that the Defence Minister has written a letter allegedly to the Prime Minister about matters relating to defence. The truth is, no such letter has been written to the Prime Minister. Clearly, it is of fake news. And that's a wrap on Newsnight. But news continues here on DD News and DD India. You can catch all the latest updates on our social media, mobile and digital platforms. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.